It's great to be here. I'm from change.org. It's a petition platform where anyone can go online and start a petition on something they care about. I think as we've heard lots of talks this morning, I love Philip's talk about mobilization power, and that's what we're really going to dive into in the next 10, 15 minutes now. I think it's one of the most exciting times to be a campaigner. Digital tools are connecting people more than ever before. There's a new generation of activists emerging, and we're winning campaigns faster than we've ever won campaigns before, and that's what I want to talk about. So at change.org, we have now 90 million users. We're about to hit 100 million users using our site around the world. We're in about 20 different countries. I work in the UK team, and we see about a dozen petitions winning every single week. At the heart of a lot of these petitions is a strong personal story, a compelling story of an individual who wants to create change. So let me tell you one of those stories. This is Farmer Mohammed. Farmer is 17 years old. She's British Somali. She's a typical 17-year-old. She loves pop music. She's on her phone all the time. She lives at home with her mum and her sisters. She's also really ambitious. She wants to go to university. She wants to have a great job. And there's something particular that she cares about. She cares a lot about the issue of FGM, female genital mutilation, which still happens and still affects girls even in the UK. Farmer wants to change this, and she has some friends that have been affected by it that she knows personally. She started a small group at her school with one of her teachers. They put on a play at their school about the issue, and they convinced their head teacher that the head teacher should be talking about this more with parents at their school, because she knows that girls at her school have been affected by this. So she wins that, and her head teacher agrees that it's something that they'll talk about more at school. But she wants to do more. She wants every school in the UK to do what her school does and talk about this issue, and for parents and teachers to work together to end FGM. She's very ambitious. So she decides that she's going to get Michael Gove, who was our education secretary at the time, to write to all schools and tell head teachers that they need to take this issue seriously. So she starts a petition on change.org calling for Michael Gove to send this letter to all schools before the summer holidays when the cutting season starts and many girls are taken abroad to be cut. And then she gets interviewed by The Guardian, and they decide that they're going to put their weight behind the campaign and back Farmer on this mission. So she starts her petition. We share it using email to lots of users on our site. And within days, she's got 100,000 people signed up. She's got press coverage coming to interview her about her story and why this issue matters. And in 20 days, she gets a meeting with the education secretary. And this is her with her 5 school friends and her teacher and her 250,000 strong petition about to go up to meet the education secretary and ask him if he will write to schools about FGM. So she heads upstairs, and they're chattering and laughing. They're 17 years old. They don't care that they're meeting a government minister. They're having a good day out in London as well. And she's up there. We're waiting downstairs. She goes up there. She's up there for an hour and a half. And we're downstairs. We have no idea if he's going to agree to do this or not. We heard through some of his advisors before that he would talk to her and he'd be nice to her and he'd think about it, but he's not going to agree to do this. Anyway, they're up there for about an hour and a half. We're downstairs getting pretty nervous, wondering what the hell's going on. You don't normally get a government minister's time for that long. Anyway, they come downstairs, they're high-fiving each other, they're over the moon. They've won, he agreed to do it. And they basically just didn't let him leave the room until he said yes. Not only did he agree to write the letter, but he agreed to visit their school, see what they're doing on FGM, and see what more the government can do to support it. So in 20 days, one student and her friends have got the government to change their policy on FGM to take action on it. This isn't a big public affairs organization or an advertising firm with millions. This is a girl who had no budget, but mobilized thousands of people and won change in less than 3 weeks. This was the front page of The Guardian the next day. So how did Farmer do this? What made it successful? One, it was her story. In this kind of macho and duplicative world of politics, her integrity and passion and the fact that she was connected to the issue and had a genuine story to tell cut through. And people supported her campaign because they related to her as an individual, a 17-year-old girl speaking out on something that she cared about. So people signed up to her and trusted her and came on the journey with her. Also, she didn't ask for a huge change. She wants FGM to be on the curriculum, but that's a huge ask, and she knows that that's something to work towards. She asked for a very small thing: write a letter to schools. It's what we call in the business the little big thing, and this is what we see a lot on successful petitions on our site. We all want to change the world, but it's easier to start with something small, because when you win that will give you the motivation that you need to win the next thing and the next thing. Winning a campaign is the most inspiring thing you can do to keep activists going. It's an addictive feeling to win. And when Farmer came down from that room with her friends and they'd won, they didn't just stop there. They were going to go on and do the next thing. So ask for this little big thing and seek out the little big things you can change. And of course, if you want to bring a big audience to your campaign or your issue, power it by email. I think we think a lot of social media about Twitter and Facebook. A lot of content can still be really driven by email. We shared Farmer's petition through email, and she grew her petition by keeping in touch with the people that had signed it, asking them to share it and take more action, emailing them constantly in that 20-day period. And that's how she really built up a momentum and built up a community of people. So personal stories asking for very specific things powered by email. That's a formula that we see time and time again winning on change.org. I can give you literally hundreds of examples of where petitions have won just using those 3 very simple formulas. But what's really exciting to me is that it's not just about one simple victory that stands alone. It's that one victory inspires the next victory, and that's how you build movements. And movements are how you create system change. So what do I mean by that? Well, Farmer won her campaign, but it didn't just stop there. She then got approached by Ban Ki-moon because he was so inspired by her campaign, he wanted to meet this 17-year-old girl. So this is her with Ban Ki-moon, and she's now a global spokesperson on this issue. Her campaign also inspired a 23-year-old woman in the US called Jaha, who you can see. Jaha was affected by FGM, and she thought more action should happen in the US. So she started a campaign targeting Obama to take action, and the White House has responded, and they're now tracking the rates of FGM in the US for the first time ever. So these 2 women coming together, inspired by each other, campaigning for change. They're now working with more females around the world, more girls, who have started a mission to end FGM in 1 generation. So this one victory has mobilized this movement, given it huge energy, and now it's an issue that really is on the agenda, and these girls from all around the world are coming together to campaign on it. And we see it on a number of different issues. Autism care is one example. So in the UK, there's lots of families who have children with autism, and they're being treated hundreds of miles away from home because there's not facilities near them. We had one dad, Phil, who you can see at the bottom. He started a petition to get his son brought closer to home and to get the care he needed in their hometown. And he won that campaign, Josh is Coming Home. But in doing that, he inspired many other families who signed his petition and realized, well, this is happening to me too. And if Phil can start a petition and get his son home, maybe we can get our children home too. And then they've all started petitions. Now they're in touch with each other, working together to win their individual campaigns. But also because of that, the government is starting to look at this issue again and realizing that more policy needs to be changed in this area. In housing in the UK, this is another huge issue. Many people unable to get on the housing ladder and not very much affordable housing for people, especially in London. One woman, Lindsay, who's in the centre down here with the kind of red hair, she started a petition because her housing estate had been bought by a US developer. They were going to knock down the estate, rebuild luxury flats, and 93 families would be evicted. She's a single mum. She's never campaigned for anything before in her life. She works in an administration role at the NHS, National Health Service. She started a petition to change this. She simply told her story, a single mum who's going to be homeless before Christmas unless they can stop these developers. She had 300,000 people back her campaign, a little bit of celebrity help from Russell Brand. And when she went to deliver her petition at Downing Street, 400 people turned out. They had to close the streets of Whitehall so that she could take her petition to Downing Street. She was blown away. And they won. The developers pulled out. You know, something that no politician has been able to achieve. She won it. And that campaign's inspired others. You can see 6 of them already and more. Housing campaigns, exactly the same thing, people fighting to save their homes. They're talking to each other, they're connecting with each other, and they're learning lessons from each other's campaigns and turning it into a movement. So you've got Farmer, you've got Phil, you've got Lindsay. These are the kind of future of campaigning that we're seeing in the UK. Ordinary people who themselves have never said that they were campaigners, who have not engaged in politics before, building movements and winning change on their own terms. Lindsay, when I first met her, she said she's not really interested in politics. Don't do politics, Katherine, don't do politics, but they're my kids and I've got to keep my home. She's now running to be Mayor of London. That's how engaged she's become through her campaign. And Phil, he's writing a book and he's training other activists. And Farmer, well, she's going to take over the world one day. So what does this mean for organizations? Be a platform for people's stories. Organizations, especially NGOs, you are the people who are most connected to individuals with incredible stories. So be a platform for them. Don't see them as case studies. See them as potential campaigners and think about what you can do to empower them. Seek out the little big things, those things that you can win and win quickly and change quickly, because that's going to motivate you to keep going and bring more people into your movement. Use digital tools to build these movements. This is how people are connecting with each other, finding people with similar experiences. Our site is basically a huge crowd source of stories of people that want to change things. And then finally, win and celebrate winning. I think quite often, especially in the campaigning world, we have such ambitious goals. We want to change the world. Sometimes we don't take time to think about what we're achieving and those little victories that we're winning along the way. Really celebrate them, because that gives your movement the energy to continue. And it's by building those movements and celebrating the victories that we're going to achieve bigger change. That's it.